Hi everybody, and welcome back to the T or
U-T-H
The Truth. And we're back again. I'm Kennedy.
I'm Janice.
I'm Bria.
I'm Jada Janelle. And I'm Carlita.
And we have another Testimony Tuesday. So let's see who it is today. Give me a beat.
Hey. Hey.
Anyway.
We
We have Janice Patrice.
Finally.
Shoot. It's finally my turn. Well, it's always an honor to have a testimony. I think everybody has a testimony. We should have several of them. Things that God has brought us out of, things that He's delivered us from. I'm going to talk today about being healed multiple times by God. It seems like the devil's really been attacking me in my health, but I have learned that God is bigger than the devil. About 6 years ago, I was having a pain in my side, and I didn't know what it was, and so I finally went to the doctor, and the doctor told me that, sent me for an ultrasound, and then it came back that I had a tumor on my liver. Well, I went into panic mode. I'm just going to be honest. I was crying and thinking I was dying, and my husband was like, we have to depend on God. God can do all things. He's a healer. And so he just began to pray as I'm still crying. And I'm like, not even thinking about praying. I'm just thinking about, oh my God, what's happening? So it boiled down to, once they found out that it was a tumor, they found out that it was growing because of the hormones in birth control pills, the hormones when you're pregnant, and alcohol. Wow. So all of these things was playing a part in making this tumor grow. I'm gonna back up a little bit, because prior to that, God had been telling me, because I was a drinker, and we used to go to Houlihan's to get. They had this Long Island iced tea that was real cheap, and it got you messed up real fast. So I kept going back there to get these Long Island iced teas, and God kept telling me to stop drinking, and I wouldn't listen. So fast forward to where I was. So that situation, when I finally went to the liver specialist, he told me that I needed to get my tubes tied. I shouldn't have any more kids. I needed not to ever take birth control pills, and I needed to not drink again. So I just took that as my lesson. God was telling me to stop drinking, and I wasn't listening. I wanted to do my own thing, and not being obedient. So that was this one situation where God healed me. And then maybe 6 months ago, because I've been battling with pre-diabetes for years, so about 6 months ago, I was like, I'm just going to pray, and I'm going to believe that God can deliver me. And we was right here having a Bible study, and I just started praying. I was asking God to remove the sickness from my body. I was sick of taking pills for everything. I was taking a thyroid pill. I was taking a diabetes pill. I was just taking so many pills, and I was sick of it. So I prayed, and I was just believing. Finally, I was believing that God could heal me, because I think what happens is we know God can heal us, but do we really have the faith, and do we really believe that God will and can heal us? Amen. So I'm telling y'all, I prayed up there, and I just started coughing, and it was like I was coughing up this sickness out of my body. I couldn't stop, and I think most of y'all was here that day. And then so I went to the doctor like 2 weeks later, and they ran the diabetes test on me, and they said it was fine. And this was like 6 months ago, and then maybe a couple of weeks ago, I went again to get checked again, and my diabetes is still gone. So
Praise God.
that's just what God can and will do.
Amen. Amen.
At any point when you were going through that before, did you feel like God had given up on you, or like did you feel like that you was scared? Like, did you doubt that God was who He said He was?
I don't know that I doubted that God is who He said He was. I just wasn't dependent on God. That wasn't my first thought. My first thought was to panic. And I thank God for Sam. We were sitting down in our family room, and he was like, "We need to pray." He said it's time out for you to be crying. Stop crying and let's pray, and let's believe that God can and will do it. And He sure did it. So I don't think that it was because I didn't believe He can do it. That wasn't in the forefront of my mind.
And also, I remember us talking about like fasting and praying, and you're like, "Oh, I can't fast. I gotta take my medication. I can't fast. And we're talking about it, and but you decided, so I'm gonna do it, and you decided to fast and you prayed, and that's when God delivered you because He saw your faith in it. He trusted Him. He said, "I'm not gonna take no medication. I trust you, God."
And I didn't even think about that, Jada, but you're right. It was at that point when I believed that He would, and I fasted and prayed for that thing. And I remember saying, I can't stop. I can't not eat. I got diabetes. I gotta eat. I gotta have me some orange juice. I gotta have me something to eat. I remember that. But it came to the point where I finally started believing. I think that's when my growth in God came about too. Me believing that He could do it. And in the beginning, even when Sam prayed for me, I didn't really have enough faith. I don't think at that point to believe. But then I saw what He could do. I saw the end result of what happens when you do believe in God. That you can do it. And I shouldn't have had to depend on my husband to pray for me. I should have been able to do it myself.
And that's good because a lot of people will go to the doctor and they hear what the doctor say, but they won't really. They forget who their God is. They forget how good God is, and they just go off of what the doctors say.
Yes,
absolutely.
And feel defeated.
I have a question. So would you say that that's a prime example of where the scripture says that faith without works is dead?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because once I exercised my faith, He started healing me of some things.
Okay.
And I think, because the devil's busy, he's gonna do whatever he can do to attack God's children.
Absolutely.
But so I'm gonna go to the next sickness that I had. So maybe it was April 26th. I had came home to let the dogs out. I think most of y'all know this story, but I came home to let and LJ and Samel was sitting in the family room, and my husband tells me all the time to let the boys take the dogs out. But when I come in the house, the dogs are jumping around like they ain't been out all day. And so when I opened the door to let the dog out, Sammy's leash got caught in the door and slammed my head in the door. And I was knocked unconscious. But to wake up, not knowing that you was knocked unconscious, I woke up from being unconscious, bleeding, and not knowing what was going on, not being able to remember. And the doctor, LJ said the paramedic told him that a lot of people don't even wake up for those types of injuries because I had an open wound. My head was cracked open where I had to get the 5 stitches. But I just think about how my husband had just told me a few weeks prior that he wanted me to speak at church. As soon as that happened, it seemed like here comes the devil. And when I tell y'all I fasted and prayed, and God told me He wanted me to preach on or teach on tomorrow not being promised, because we all think that we still have time. And so God sent me, and I believe, like I'm getting chills right now, God sent me through that thing right there, because in order for me to teach something, what better way for me to teach it, for me to go through it?
Yes.
So that thing, right, when the door closed and slammed on my head and I could have been dead and gone, it showed me that tomorrow's not promised.
Absolutely.
And that we have to live each day for God. You know what I'm saying?
Just like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so in the twinkle of an eye, we can be here 1 minute and gone the next minute. And people think that we have next week, next year, next month. We might not have the next second sitting right here at the table.
Yes.
So I just thank God that He let me make it out of it, for that to be a testimony, for me to let His word go forth, because the devil's going to try to do whatever he can to get us to keep our mouths quiet, to not give the people what God gave me. Because when I tell you God gave me down to the song, and Sam was saying that he thought I was going to read one of those verses, sing one of those verses. God gave me all that to sing. I'm going to sing it everything and give it every single thing that the Lord gave me.
Right, we don't understand that a lot of stuff that happened in our lives, we just like take it, this is happening, but some of this stuff is, it's for God's glory, for God to get the glory out of the sickness, God healing you, you being knocked conscious and then unconscious and then you waking up, all that was for God's glory. And you go through things, and this is, I don't know why I'm going through this, I don't know, it's only for God, it's God to get the glory out of that.
Absolutely. And we need to be careful to recognize that, like just take time, smell the roses, like literally recognize that.
And even in my growth, I think that I'm learning that every single thing that God does in any of our lives is for a purpose, and He gives us a lot of things, and we go through a lot of things, so we'll have a testimony to give to somebody else that may be struggling in an area. Because I know it's plenty of people that are out there right now that are probably even watching that are dealing with sicknesses. Cancer is running rapid, and diabetes is running rapid. It's all kind of stuff running rapid, but I just know that God is running rapid too. So I know that if we just trust and believe, and I just want to encourage anybody that's watching to just depend on God and to have faith. Having faith means that you believe it all the way down on the inside, to believe that God can do it. And really, we pray the prayer to let His will be done.
Absolutely.
Because we can go through a sickness and go through it for a time. He brings us out in the end, but just so we can have a testimony to give to somebody else. So anybody that's watching and you think that you can't be healed or delivered from any sickness or from any sin, just pray the prayer to God and believe that He'll do it and He'll bring